The polling system in OSRS has always been a little bit controversial, whether poll results should be hidden or not, if 75% is really a good number for something to pass, and so on. To show you just how different the game would be, we're going to take a look at past polls with the idea that they would only need a 2/3 vote or 66% to pass. So if the poll gets above a 66% yes vote, it would be added to the game. So first of all, we're going to go all the way back to the opening of the game, which was long before there was even an option to vote skip this question. These first few poll results I'm going to discuss are from 2013 to about 2015. The very first one is sailing would actually exist in the game. This is an update I've talked about in the past, and my opinion would actually fit very well into Old School. There's not enough time now for me to explain the whole skill and convince you of that, so I'm going to link my video on screen about all the failed skills now. Next is that the max cape would have the same stats as a fire cape, which personally I would have really liked to see happen, because let's be honest, the max fire cape is kinda gross. Not to mention, when the max cape first passed the poll, the max fire cape looked like a McDonald's cape until people complained. Now, this one about the max cape was only 0.8% off 66%, but I feel like seeing how close it would have been would sway votes. Next up, we're going to talk about a few Zulrah related polls. First of all, there would be a 50k death penalty for dying at Zulrah to reclaim your stuff. This is both something I like, but at the same time don't. For example, it would definitely hurt Ultimate Iron Man mode a little, and stop people from learning Zulrah in general. I swear I died at least 40 times before getting my first kill. So this would definitely cause some inflation to Zulrah related items. Next is, you'd be able to turn any Zulrah item into scales. So the Serp Helm and Magic Fang would give 10k scales, whereas the Blowpipe and Tan's Fang could be converted into 50k scales. Now you may be thinking you already can convert Zulrah items into scales. This is because it passed a later poll at different rates. So the Magic and Tan's Fang can only be converted into 20,000 scales rather than 10,000 and 50,000. Another thing that I think would actually be a cool addition is that every agility course would have Marks of Grace rather than just the rooftop courses. I feel like it would revive a lot of courses that people normally don't really use unless they're going for the pet or want the best XP per hour. So far, most of these updates in my opinion aren't really too bad, but these next few would probably cause quite a bit of upset in the community. First is that the Ring of the Gods would work in the God Wars dungeon as every god item. So rather than having to bring a Zamorak item and a Bandos item to fight Grador, you could just bring the Ring of the Gods and it would cover you for everything. Next is Dark Crabs would heal 25% of your base hit points. So if you have 99 hit points, Dark Crabs would heal around 24 or 25 hit points. Meaning you could go from 1 to 99 with only 4 crabs. The Bone Crusher, which is a reward for completing the Mauritania Hard Diaries, would also have a buyable option. Meaning no need to actually do the diaries, you could just buy whatever the alternative is. So far this seems like a mixed bag of good and bad updates for the game, at least in my opinion. However, going through all these old polls brought up an interesting discovery. I saw some things that failed polls that exist in the game right now. This is because things often get repolled, which might be a plus for some players and a negative for others. For example, the Revenant Caves failed the polls at least twice before passing. Along with this, originally Revs were going to be free to play, but their only unique drop was going to be a scroll that would teach free to play players Teleblock. F2P Teleblock failed the polls twice before Jagex considered it an integrity change and introduced it without polling it. On the same subject, Jagex has tried to introduce a variation of Ice Barrage to the normal spellbook twice. The first, it was called Shackle, and the second time, Restraint. It would more or less do the same thing as Ice Barrage, but be on the normal spellbook. I don't think it would have the area of effect thing that normal Ice Barrage does. I'm pretty sure it would only work on one enemy, but still a little overpowered in my opinion. I'm all for buffing the normal spellbook as it seems to be fairly underpowered, but I don't think adding Ice Barrage to it is the way to do so, and the poll results clearly showed this. Going back to Revs, there were a few items we almost had as well. For anyone familiar with Deadman mode, Jagex occasionally introduces some late RS2 armors and weapons during their seasonals. Those being Vesta, Stadius, Morrigan, and Zuriel. These would have just barely scraped by and made it into the game by just a couple percentage points. Along with this, Revenants would also drop new best in slot range gloves, and an item I found really interesting, minus XP lamps. Minus XP lamps would allow players to remove 50 XP from any combat skill of their choosing. However, an account could only use 10 ever. Their main purpose was going to be, as Jagex says, to basically revive failed pures from misclicks or mistakes. Keeping up with the trend of wilderness-related content, both spellbook resizing and spellbook rearranging would be available. Now, this next one is one that I really dislike. Players with the Wilderness Elite Diary can currently get noted dragon bones whenever they kill a dragon, which is fine. That's actually pretty nice, and I'd actually like to have that benefit sometime soon. However, this poll change would make it so that if they killed a player with dragon bones in their inventory, it would automatically become noted. This would seriously increase the amount of PKers at the Chaos Altar, which is already crowded enough. Plus, with the Elite Diary done, they'd be able to unnote the bones for free with the Chaos Druid outside, which was also another poll change. If this doesn't reek of being overpowered, I really don't know what does. Another wilderness-related thing I forgot to mention is that we would have the Divine Spirit Shield. Jagex has pulled this, I believe, 3 times now, and it's failed every time. But if it were a 2/3 vote, we would have the Divine, which is an item from RS3 for those of you who don't know. Lastly, for wilderness updates, there would be a north side entrance to the Grand Exchange. I have no idea who thought that would ever be a good idea. That is just opening up on an entire new door to luring. One last update I'd like to discuss is all the new potions we'd have. The main two are Totality Potions and Super Prayer Potions. The Totality Potion is more or less like an overload, except it only boosts as high as a Super Combat, and drains like a normal Super Combat Potion would. The Super Prayer Potion sort of works like how a Prayer Enhance in Chambers of Zeric does, combined with a normal Prayer Potion. If the Theater of Blood is added to the game, should it be possible to combine a Vial of Blood, Ranarweed, Snapdragon, and Snapegrass to create a Super Prayer Potion. This potion restores prayer points 7 plus 25% of your base prayer level, and restores an additional 6 prayer points over 30 seconds at a rate of 1 point per 5 seconds. Mixing the potion would require 91 Herblore and grants 120 Herblore experience. The potion is tradable. I don't really know how my thoughts are on these potions. I kind of like them, but at the same time I could see them becoming a little bit overpowered, and these new potions would probably become the new standard for both PVM and PvP. Anyway, I covered quite a few updates, and chances are I missed a couple, so if there's one that you think should have been included in this video, feel free to drop it down in the comments below, and if not, let me know which of these updates you would like to see added to the game, or you're glad that it didn't get added, or how you feel about what percentage you need to pass a poll, or whatever you feel like. Anyway, that's really all I have to say. Feel free to join my Discord in the description, clan chat, so on. Drop a like, you know the deal. I'll see you in the next video.